The 2025 NFL playoffs are officially set, pretty much, barring a couple games this next weekend. We're going to run through all the games from last weekend, or at least the important ones, and then talk about who's going to be in the playoffs in 2025. I believe both buys are up for grabs in Week 18. There's also two divisions up for grabs in Week 18. So a lot to talk about. I'm actually going to hop over to Twitter here on Underdog because they kind of laid it out nicely, like what each team has to play for in Week 18. So just for the NFC, 49ers and Seahawks play each other. Basically, they win. If they win, they get the number one seed. Same with the Panthers-Buccaneers. Panthers-Buccaneers play. Basically, the division goes to the winner of that game, although the Falcons, right, so if the Falcons lose, the Bucs are in the division. If the Falcons win, the Panthers are the division champion. And then Bears and Eagles. So the Bears are a 2 seed with win or Eagles loss. Eagles are the 2 seed with win or Bears loss. Now, let's go to just the games for the NFC in Week 18. So, yeah, like I said, Panthers-Bucs play on Saturday, as well as the Seahawks and 49ers on Saturday. So basically, the winner of these games are going to win their division, essentially. The Falcons play the Saints. And so the Falcons, I would say, have a good chance at winning that game. If they do win that game, then the Panthers win the division. So Panthers are in a pretty good situation right now because they just need to win, or they need a Falcons win, and they're in the playoffs, and they're the division winner. Other games, let me see. Bears, Eagles. What's that situation? Bears play the Lions, and then I believe the Eagles play the Commanders. Now, I did see that they might rest some starters because it doesn't necessarily matter if they're the 2 seed or like the 3 seed. Yeah. Eagles are considering resting some starters in Week 18. I don't believe there's anything from the Bears. I imagine that they will play their starters, but I guess that's to be determined. And then the AFC is a little wild as well. Ravens Steelers are playing Sunday night, and that's straight up winners in the playoffs. Winner wins the division. Losers out. There was an update on TJ Watt. He might play Week 18. I would assume it's doubtful, although Tomlin said he's optimistic that he can play, so that might be some good news. Darnell Washington will be out Week 18 for the Steelers. That's a hit to the tight end group. Rams playing the starters. Colts are playing Riley Leonard in Week 18, so sitting Phillip Rivers. I guess why not play Riley Leonard, see what he has, see if he can do anything in their final game. This game's going to be really fun. Ravens Steelers. If I were the Ravens, I'd give it to Derrick Henry like 40 times. Just try to run it on the Steelers the entire game. The Steelers haven't really scored much this year. Like past couple games, they haven't scored much. Let me see. Points per game, they're 15th. Their defense really hasn't been that good, especially without TJ Watt. And even if Lamar doesn't play, I think the Ravens have a good chance of winning this game, honestly. But let's go back to the playoff playoff picture. So this is pretty much set. Besides these two teams, so Steelers, Ravens, Panthers, Bucks, one of each will get in their respective conference. If I had like an early lean, I'd probably put the Ravens in, and then I'd probably put the Panthers in just because they don't necessarily need to win. If the Falcons win, they're in. So I think they have a good chance of getting in. And then, so as of now, Seahawks would get the bye, Broncos would get the bye. Bears would then play. Would the Bears play Bears would play the Packers. Patriots would play the Bills. Honestly, for those four teams, it's kind of a tough draw because, like, if I were the Patriots, I'd honestly much rather play the Texans, Chargers, or Jags than the Bills, just because they've given them trouble this year already. And then same thing if I were the Bears and Packers. Maybe the Bears would want to play the Packers. The NFC, I feel like in the middle is a little bit stronger than the AFC. Like the Eagles, Niners, Rams are probably better than the Jags, Texans, Chargers. Although the Texans do have a really great defense. Same with the Chargers. And the Rams just got beat by the Falcons this past weekend. So I guess they can be exposed a little bit. But there is a way. So if we go back here, there is a way for the Patriots to get the number one seed. So they would get the number one seed if they win and Broncos lose. I don't know who the Broncos play. Okay, so the Broncos play the Chargers. I wonder if either of those teams are going to sit any of their starters. If not, the Chargers could definitely beat the Broncos. So the one seed in the AFC could still be up for grabs. And then, Broncos get a Patriots loss. Jags, so division title with win or Texans loss. One seed with win. Oh, so the Jags could still get the one seed actually. If the Patriots and the Broncos lose, the Jags would be the one seed. Texans division title with win and Jags loss. This is also big too right here. Rico Dowdle did not practice Tuesday. Considered day-to-day. I expect that he'll play. But that's definitely something to watch for sure. Let's just take a peek at week 17 and then 18. I don't know how the Lions lost this game to the Vikings. The Vikings defense was just dominant, and the Lions couldn't do anything on offense. And it knocked them out of the playoffs completely. I think if they won and then won again, they still had a chance, but the loss to the Vikings definitely put them out of reach. And honestly, I don't even think... Yeah, because Brosmer played. Yeah, he played. He was horrible. 51 passing yards. Jordan Addison had a huge touchdown run, and then Aaron Jones had a touchdown, and that was literally it. The Lions scored 10 points. Goff had like 50 yards passing in just like mop up. So that's how he got to 197. Broncos beat the Chiefs like expected, although it was much closer than I thought it would be. Texans beat the Chargers. The Ravens ran all over the Packers because they actually used Derrick Henry. And honestly, like this could be a little bit of a hot take, but I think Tyler Huntley is playing pretty well. And if they just feed Derrick Henry, I think putting Lamar in, I mean, Lamar's obviously better, but they've struggled with Lamar this year. I think they need to just feed Henry 36 rushing attempts, which is crazy last game. But he ran for 215 and 4 touchdowns on a decent Packers defense. Although without Micah Parsons, but he still ran really well. And then like a couple receivers kind of chipped in. Flowers had a touchdown, but I think against the Steelers this next week, they just need to run down their throat. I'll definitely look at those lines after this, just to see where those are at. I would assume the Ravens are going to be favored in that game, but I guess I could be wrong. Yeah, Seahawks beat the Panthers. I figured they would beat the Panthers. Like, Bryce Young is just so frustrating because at times he's looked really, really well, and then at times he's looked like this. Like, it was a great opportunity against Seahawks defense, who's much better against the run than the pass, and he threw for 50 yards and an interception. Like, it was so bad. Tet had 1 catch for 5 yards on 4 targets. But, like, he was an outstanding rookie this year, and he had 4 targets. I don't really understand why. And Zach Charbonnet had a huge game, and he's honestly kind of taken over the backfield. He had more rushing attempts than Walker and scored twice. So that'll be interesting to monitor for next year. Like, they're obviously, and I guess through the playoffs too, but they're both healthy. I think Walker's a free agent, so they could just keep Charbonnet in that role as the starter, and I think it would probably be fine. Let's see what other games really mattered here. Browns shocked the Steelers. This is why this game on Sunday night's gonna actually matter, because the Browns defense held the Steelers to 6 points, and nobody played well in this game, really. Rodgers played horribly. Run game kind of got going, but the Steelers need to fix that before they play the Ravens on Sunday, because I think they're going to get ran all over by Henry, and they're going to need to score some points. Another shocking one was Dolphins beating the Bucs. I don't know what's going on I think something's wrong with Baker, because ever since that injury to his non-throwing shoulder, he has looked horrible. Did throw for 340, but it was against the Dolphins defense, who was not great. And the really big problem was that they couldn't run the ball. Bucky was held to 19 rushing yards, and their next leading rusher was Mayfield with 16. And then this passing offense is just completely spread open. McMillan, Godwin, Evans, Buka, like, you really never know who's going to get the targets. But they need to figure it out too, because they have a win and they're in situation pretty much with the Panthers. This Eagles-Bills game was also very interesting, low scoring. It was really crappy weather, and honestly, the Bills should have had it. Josh Allen missed someone in the back of the end zone to take the lead, and that basically sealed it for the Eagles in this one. But the Bills could have easily won that game. Another one that was kind of funny to watch was Giants-Raiders, just because, of course, the Giants win in like blowout fashion and put themselves out of reach of the number 1 pick, because with that loss for the Raiders, pretty much seals it up that they're going to have the number 1 pick. So that was just funny, because, like, of course the Giants would screw that up. Bears-Niners was a crazy game. I actually watched that on a plane, and there was a score. There was like a touchdown every 5 minutes. But honestly, everyone on offense played really well. Williams, 330, 2 touchdowns, and then Purdy was crazy. 3 touchdowns passing. I believe he had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And then Christian McCaffrey. Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, if they both get in the playoffs, are going to be fun to watch, and I would definitely not want to play them if I were any of these teams. And then, obviously, I said earlier, Rams lost to the Falcons in a game where they definitely shouldn't have lost, but ended up losing. So yeah, the Saturday games honestly are the most fun, I think. Bucks, Panthers, Seahawks, 49ers, and then the Sunday night game, Ravens, Steelers. That will also be very fun. Let me look if I can get, let me pause this and see if I can get lines up. Throw this up for a second and see if I can get the lines up for next weekend. All right, just have to log in real quick and then okay, that's a lie. All right, now switch over. Okay, we should be good. All right, let's go NFL. They should have the lines up, so take a look at this. Let's see, do they? Usually on the phone they have, on the mobile one, they have the lines up. Bucks. Okay, I guess not. Where can I get lines? If I go to ESPN. All right, here we go. Yeah, so for the Saturday games, hopefully you can see this. We'll go up here so you can see this. Panthers, Bucks. Bucks are favored in this game. I think the Bucks should win this game, although Baker has looked horrible. Like, they need to establish the run early and then try to build a lead. And Bryce Young looked bad. This could be, honestly, the play on this game could be the under, to be honest. It's open at 45.5. It's already going down to 43.5 on ESPN. That could be the play because both these offenses have looked disgusting. I wouldn't want to, I just feel like I wouldn't want to bet on either of those teams. And then Seahawks and Niners. The Seahawks are currently favored. But I'm probably leaning the Niners, honestly, in that game right now. I'll have to look into it more before Saturday. And I'm sure I'll have player props for those games Saturday. But if I had to pick one now, I'd probably go Bucks and then Niners. I just feel like they've been on a roll lately, the 49ers. The only problem is that their defense has been really struggling. And the Seahawks with Charbonnet and Walker and then JSN, they could expose their defense. And if the 49ers can't score, because the Seahawks actually have a decent defense. So that could be where the Niners have some trouble. What else really matters? And honestly, some of these lines are going to be interesting because players are going to sit, players are going to there's going to be players not playing. So it can get a little tricky. Like in this one, okay, so Broncos, Chargers. So I guess the Chargers are going to rest starters because the Broncos are favored by 12.5. which is that's crazy. So that's probably why they're favored by 12.5. Ravens Steelers. That's going to be the fun one on Sunday night. Over under is pretty low, 43.5. Now 40.5 actually. So that's a low over under. I honestly might take the over. I think the Steelers can't play much worse than last week, and then the Ravens just put up 40 points. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the Ravens continue to play well, and then the Ravens defense really hasn't been that good this season. So that seems a little bit low, 40.5 there for that Sunday night game. And then the Ravens are favored by a good bit, 3.5 minus 192 on the money line. My initial lean would probably be the Ravens to win that game. If TJ Watt plays, it'll be interesting. He is a significant factor on the defense. I do have to admit that. So I'll have to take a deeper look at most of these games, and I'll try to keep track of players not playing and teams not playing. It's going to be a rough player prop weekend. I usually put up the player props for each game. We'll have to really find specific player props. I'm going to have to dig deep on a bunch of these. But Saturday slate should be fun. I know there's college football going on this week as well. And then that Sunday night game is going to be a blast. So a lot to look forward to. And definitely we'll have a good time in the playoffs for sure. That'll wrap it up for today, I think. I think I'm going to do some fun fantasy type stuff tomorrow or Thursday, just talking about the first round from this past year and then going into 2026, like who's projected to be in the first round, who I'd take in the first round, and then kind of go from there. Probably do player props on like Friday for Saturday and Sunday, so be on the lookout for both of those as well. But for today, that wraps it up. Really looking forward to week 18. It should be a blast.